Hi everyone, I'm Shelley and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I'm back with another question the narrative video, and today's topic is, some of you standing here shall not taste death. I'm not expecting this video to be very long. I'm expecting it to be pretty brief, but I wanted to go over with you Matthew chapter 16, specifically verses 27 and 28, but we're going to go a little bit into chapter 17 as well, because this is another issue that people will have with preterism. Specifically, their reply to the preterist viewpoint that Matthew 16 verse 28 says, "Some of you standing here shall not taste death until you see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." Now, when it comes to adherents of preterism or fulfilled eschatology or covenant eschatology, whatever you like to call it, they say this is a nail in the coffin for anything else, because Jesus is talking to his disciples. He is specifically with them, and he is telling them, "Some of you standing here shall not taste death until you see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." And I'm paraphrasing here. But there are those who reply back and say, no, he was talking about the Transfiguration. And the Transfiguration actually happens right after Jesus says that to them. At least, biblically in the Bible, it's right at the beginning of chapter 17 that it starts talking about the Transfiguration. So let's just look through this and see if there's any merit to either one of them. So Matthew 16, I'm going to start in verse 27, says, "For the Son of Man is going to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will repay each person according to what he has done." That sounds like a judgment. "Truly, I say to you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." And after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John his brother, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And behold, there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. And Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He was still speaking when, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell on their faces and were terrified. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, "Rise and have no fear." And when they lifted up their eyes, they saw no one but Jesus only. And as they were coming down the mountain, Jesus commanded them, "Tell no one the vision until the Son of Man is raised from the dead." And the disciples asked him, "Then why did the scribes say that first Elijah must come?" He answered, "Elijah does come, and he will restore all things. But I tell you that Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but did to him whatever they pleased. So also the Son of Man will certainly suffer at their hands." Then the disciples understood that he was speaking to them of John the Baptist. Now, I'm sure that most of you watching are already familiar with this, but if we talk about the Transfiguration, Jesus goes up onto the mountain and he becomes white with glory. And the Father in heaven, our Father in heaven, he speaks down and he says, "This is my Son with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." And this is where those who are saying that Matthew 16:28 may not be as cut and dry as preterists will believe, they will say, well, but no, it is talking about the Transfiguration. That is when Jesus came in his kingdom, and he was white, or I'll say light, with his Father's glory. Well, let's take a look back at what it says in Matthew 16:27. "For the Son of Man is going to come with his angels in the glory of his Father." So let's just stop right there. Were there any angels present at the Transfiguration? Not according to this. So there were no angels. The glory of his Father, yes, I would say that Jesus, he shone with the glory of his Father at the Transfiguration. But there were no angels. Let's continue on. And then he will repay each person according to what he has done. So again, I mentioned this earlier, that sounds like a judgment. Was there any sort of judgment that happened at the Transfiguration? No. So I am going to venture a guess that what Jesus was talking about here is not the Transfiguration. They are not the same event. And when Jesus was telling them that there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom, he was talking about his parousia, when he was going to come back in judgment. Now, you still might not be convinced. And one more thing that I want to point out to you, that it says, so 6 days later is when the Transfiguration happened. It says, and after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John his brother, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. So Jesus talked to them here, and then 6 days later, the Transfiguration happened. Well, in verse 28, he says, truly I say to you, there are some standing here who will not taste death. So some of them standing there will taste death within those 6 days? Wouldn't that have been recorded? That's just another example, I believe, that these are definitely not the same events that people are trying to make the connection. I just don't see it. But that's just something that I wanted to point out to you, and that's actually all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one right here. And if you like my work and would like to support my page, I will leave a link in the description for that as well, or you can just click on it right on my channel page. And I hope you have a great day.